I want to welcome everybody to today's Valhallan Executive Call. My name is Marty Flanagan, and I am here with Matt Phillips, who is our brand president. And so what these calls are designed for, they are designed to be able to help give you better insight, better understanding, and who we are, what we do, and why we do it. So Matt Phillips is here. He's not on mute, and so he's able to jump in as well. But really, we want to hear today, these calls are designed to be able to give you better insight and understanding and really kind of provide some clarity for you to be able to learn more about Valhallan and what we're doing. So what is Valhallan? What is Valhallan Esports? What do we do? How do we do it? We're going to dive into all that today. We're going to talk about our model. We're going to talk about our support structure. We can go in any direction because there is going to be a Q&A at the end where you're going to be able to dive in and ask any questions that you would like. So there's going to be that opportunity that you'll be able to ask questions throughout at the end of today. So if you do have questions that come up or something that kind of passes through your mind, please write it down, because at the end, we're going to go into the Q&A segment where you're going to be able to ask any question. You'll be able to virtually raise your hand, or if you're on the phone, I believe hitting *6, it'll tell you, and then that'll raise your hand virtually. I'll be able to unmute you, and you'll be able to ask whatever question that you have regarding what we spoke about today or Valhallan in general. So we are a franchise business. We have between Matt and myself, just on the call today, we have more than 20 years of experience as executives in franchising. We've worked with thousands of franchisees over the years, and all that comes together to do and for what we're doing at Valhallan and how we've built Valhallan to be very franchisee centric. So we can talk more about what that means. But as of right now, what we're going to do is just kind of talk a little bit more about our updates and who we are as a brand. So as we kind of go through today, you're going to learn more about our revenue model. You're going to learn about our marketing model. You'll learn about our investment. And kind of really what the business model is all about, which we have multiple revenue streams that come into Valhallan Esports that really allow you to be able to shift and change and pivot with the seasons that you face in terms of child enrichment programs, which we have a lot of experience with. Matt himself, as our brand president, also owns multiple locations. So he's not just our brand president, he's also a franchisee. So that puts him in a very unique position. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to have Matt kind of jump in, and Matt's going to talk about some updates that we're going through right now and some partnerships that we've established and how we're moving forward with that. So Matt, if you can jump in, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely, Marty. It's great to be here today, and really appreciate everyone taking time out of their busy schedule to be on the call. We're really excited for this weekend, which is going to be our Rise to Ragnarok tournament. If you go to valhallan.com/R2R, and I'll put that in the chat, January 14th and 15th, we're going to have our first major Valhallan Esports League semi-annual event that is called Rise to Ragnarok. We've got a really cool trailer on there. We have, looks like registration-wise, we're going to have over 2,800 players all over the country. And that's going to be in Fortnite, Valorant, Rocket League, Apex Legends, and Overwatch 2. Now, why does that mean something for the franchisees? Well, the great thing about that is it kind of culminates the entire half year of curriculum, training, and coaching for our players to now be able to show off their talents and be able to play against the best teams and best players all around the country that are not professional through our Valhallan Esports League. We're actually going to have Joe Barksdale, who is a 8-year NFL player, comedian, songwriter, and also has recently talked about a diagnosis for adult autism that was recently diagnosed, is going to be on our stream. All of our profit from this event is going to go towards Autism Speaks. Autism Speaks is a great cause for us, and we work together as a team, building community and raising money for this great organization. A lot of our kids within Valhallan have various issues. Some are have trouble getting along with their brother and sister. Others have social issues at school. And some of our kids have disabilities. And so with supporting Autism Speaks, it allows us to be able to not only have our coaches get more experience and education on autism and dealing with kids with autism, but it also helps us in our community to be able to bring a higher level of learning towards autism as well. And so we're really excited about being able to do that with this event. That's what we've got going on this week, Marty.
Awesome. Well, so I just wanted Matt to kind of jump in there and kind of share some updates with kind of that partnership, because that is really, really important to kind of shift now into our business model and really what that means. Another couple updates real quick too is, we're officially now in Canada. We're in the UK with locations opening, and then obviously in the US from Reno, Nevada to California to multiple locations throughout North Carolina. We are in final stages with a few folks throughout Vancouver, British Columbia to inside the GTA up north to all over Texas and Florida. I'm not surprised based off of what we've been experiencing in terms of the revenue side of our business model. So to really talk about that right away, because typically that's the number one question that I get is, how does this thing make money? Because in the world of esports, and youth esports especially, there's always been that big issue. LAN centers are struggling all over. So how and why does this make money, and what do we do exactly? Well, what we do and what we have is an 18 to 24 month long proprietary curriculum that balances soft skill and cognitive skill development. It's a compounding curriculum, which means everything builds off the prior sessions. The prior curriculum builds off the current curriculum, so it goes past, present, and future. And whenever you have an opportunity, like in the world of esports, with cognitive skill development, there's always going to be a cause and effect to that, right? Which the negative side to that is typically inside the world of esports, it becomes very isolation focused. So we focus on a lot of those soft skills that typically are missed. So if you think of traditional athletics, now just remove whatever traditional athletics that you thought of and insert the world of esports. And that's what we do. So we use these games, these most popular games out there. You heard Matt mention a few. Those are our vehicles. We know, based on our experience of opening up more than 400 youth enrichment locations of another brand that we built from scratch, we learned through those 400 locations in 3 countries that kids will stay for competitions and parents will pay if there's some sort of enrichment that goes with it. What is my son or my daughter learning? What are they getting from this that's going to make them better in life? And one of the biggest things is being on a team. When we have 2 different buckets of revenue, if you want to look at it that way. We have our subscription model, and then we have our single payment model. That subscription model is our curriculum, that 18 to 24 month long curriculum. So when our players come in, they're put on a team, so they have the same team, and they have a coach. They're coming in weekly. They're doing a curriculum. They're competing with their team against other teams on a regular basis. This is where Valhallan Esports League comes in. They are competing on a regular basis, and they're going through the curriculum. So they're learning how to communicate as a team. So it's that player IQ, that game IQ, and that team IQ. And that balances that cognitive skill development. There's article after article and research paper after research paper talking about what esports does for that cognitive skill development, from impulse control to agile thinking to strategic planning, short-term and long-term, to problem solving, and then you focus on that team side of it. So that's those soft skills on how they communicate, how they encourage one another, how they come together. We use a lot of examples that you see in traditional sports where in volleyball or football, they're coming together. If you look at proper football over in Europe, when these players are at the peak athletic ability, and when they go down, they get surrounded by a player and their team helps them up. They don't need help getting up off the ground, but it's a part of a team. So we incorporate all these little pieces into that soft skill development because even if they're not going to be a professional esports player as they grow older, they are going to be on a team in the workforce. So they do need to know how to communicate. They do need to understand that their words has consequences if they're going to use inappropriate language or if they're going to say things or do things that are not great sportsmanlike. In the virtual world, there's a lot of problems out there that we have solved by having this in person and really
Marty,
creating that dynamic. Yes, sir.
Yeah, can I provide a little color on that?
Please do.
Yeah, so I have a lot of experience as a baseball coach. My middle son plays baseball. He grew up, where we would take him to a hitting facility, we'd take him to a pitching facility, and there were all these places that allowed him, through his skill in baseball, to be able to get better and to be able to get coaching. And now he, plays on a very competitive team that travels around and may have opportunity, later on. There are many kids, we believe, that don't play traditional sports, that are not musicians, and parents are having trouble finding activities that they like to do. We know they like to play video games up in their room. That's a given. I mean, there's 3.8 billion gamers in the world. And so we know that they're playing those video games up in their room. But, now that colleges and universities are offering full ride scholarships for esports, there's a tremendous opportunity for these kids to be able to be developed at an early age, to be able to have this opportunity, doing something they love, to be able to get that scholarship. And so we are filling that niche of that, just like in baseball where there's a pitching coach and the baseball coach, we're filling that niche that is not in the market today of training them through detailed curriculum, through professional coaching, to get them to a level where if they have the talent, they have the ability to be able to potentially get a college scholarship and be able to get in, go to college for free or half price or something like that, whereas this has just not been offered before in the past.
So when you break down those, so thank you, Matt. I appreciate you jumping in there because that, when you become a franchisee, you are working with Matt and his team on a regular basis. So that's why I like to have Matt on these calls so you actually can understand the level of leadership that we have inside of Valhallan. So when you break down those two buckets of revenue, you have that subscription model, and we have the numbers to prove it, that we can show you that it's successful. So you can hear all these words, but the math is the math, and we have the math. We have the performance numbers to show you that it is successful. So when you break down the numbers, mind you, about 5 to 10 folks jumped in after we started. Please write down any questions you have because we are going to do a Q&A, and that Q&A can go in any direction and last as long as questions come in. So that'll be at the end. So just as a reminder, if questions come up, write them down, and we will dive into those questions. I can unmute you, and you'll be able to ask your question, and we can go in any direction there because it's your time. So when we talk about the other source of revenue is that single payment. That's the camps, the workshops, the birthday parties, the parents' night out, the pop-up tournaments. Those single payment sources of revenue, camps are obviously the big one. Now, when we talk about camps, we have to talk about also the state that you're in, when summer comes up, because camps are done whenever there's not school. So whether you're in Canada, the UK, or you're in the US, you have to have a marketing plan that goes along with your school season so you know when to start marketing. We've gained a lot of experience in this area. We know when parents start to buy camps. That is really important for you to understand, because when you start to go and market for your camp season, if you do it too late, you will miss the window and you'll miss your opportunity. We also have your KPIs, your key performance indicators, in place. So you know what you should be shooting for your camp revenue based on your subscription revenue. We actually have those KPIs in place. So you have goals already set based on history of success, not just based off of pulling numbers out of a hat and being hopeful, but actual data. And also about your market. So we understand the market that you're in. We have all this data that we use to help evaluate your market to be sure that we're in the right place for you. When it comes to other sources of that single payment form, for example, birthday parties, you can look at birthday parties and just kind of shrug it off and be like, well, yeah, we can, make a couple $100 here and there with birthday parties. But birthday parties have a greater purpose. We have parent presentations for you. The more birthday parties you do, yes, you can make a little bit of revenue, but you create traffic. And when you create traffic, you get a lot of parents that this is their first experience with you, and you have an opportunity to capitalize on that by showing them the value of what Valhallan does and why we're so popular and what we're doing. And we actually walk you through that and train you on that as a franchisee, so you know how to capitalize that for you and your team. So that single sources of revenue are not just single sources of revenue. They are part of a bigger picture. Camps and your subscription, that's obviously going to be a big part of your revenue. But when it comes to those workshops, when it comes to those birthday parties, when it comes to those parents' night out, there's a greater purpose there. And you're going to have a lot of kids coming in that are going to experience your environment for the first time. And that first impression is really important. And we see that and we understand that. And we work with you to create a great first impression. When it comes to how that all breaks down in terms of revenue, like I said, we actually have a very nice Excel pro forma and great tools that we use to work with you so that you understand all this before you sign a document. So we're not asking you to be a franchisee before we give you tools. We're asking you just to engage with us. Let's start the vetting process. Let's make sure this is a good fit. And we work with you through this whole process. We host virtual discovery days. We have also, you can make appointments to go visit a location. So this isn't just all done virtually, but we understand that right now with planes being crazy and everything, we're doing virtual discovery days, which have been extremely helpful for folks thus far. So when you think about the overall business model and what we do, everything we do is in-house. So we have our own platform. We have our own marketing setup. We have our own support team. Everything is done internal for you. So you have all these internal resources to tap into. You're not having to hire professional coaches. You're not having to hire professional esports athletes. This is very scalable. And Matt, when it comes to those coaches, could you speak on that a little bit? Because that's a big question I get on a regular basis is how do I find people? Because I can't imagine somebody wanting to be an esports coach, or I can't imagine somebody who would want to just work with kids in esports and having trouble finding people. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely, Marty. Let me approach it from a couple of different angles, though, if I may. We are a little bit over 2 years in operation of our esports arena, and probably about 6 to 8 months into our business, the arena really becomes like a tribe. It's a very inclusive environment where all the players really embrace each other, and becomes just a great place to make friends and to be social. They just want to hang out there. So what happens is, now that we're a little over 2 years, our typical age group of gamers, 7 to 15 years old, although we do have 16 to 18-year-olds that play on our legendary level. Once they get to like that 16-year-old level, then they want to be coaches. The kids look up to them. They are perceived as, very elite gamers inside of our arena. And they have been mentored up through the curriculum, through our coaching. They know exactly, what we expect, how to present, and those kind of things. So what's really cool now that we're getting into our third year is we are creating our own coaches internally, which is really, really exciting. But when we started our business, coaches came from, high school players that were, really into gaming, that really carried themselves well. We have coaching training and coaching curriculum. We also take them through, diversity and inclusion training, those kind of things, to make them a good coach. But the really cool thing about the support that you get from Valhallan is every week your coaches receive a coaching guide. And that guide breaks down the practice part by part of exactly how they are supposed to run their practice for that particular game. It's actually so easy that a franchisee with zero gaming experience can run the majority of that practice. So if a coach couldn't come that day or something, you as a franchisee could still run a practice. But it's important to also go out there and hire those high school players and college age players to be able to come in and coach. The great thing about what we do and our business model is that our hours start at 4:30 in the afternoon and usually go to 8:45 at night. So it's perfect for a teacher. It's perfect for a high school age player that wants, a job in the evening. It's perfect for a college student that, does their classes during the day and wants to work at night. And this is really a dream job for them. To be able to go and teach other players about a particular game that they love and that they like to play is great. We've gotten some of our coaches, from GameStop that want additional hours, from local esports teams at the local college and university. It really is not as difficult as you might think to be able to get a good coach. And then with all of our training and direction, it makes it where you will have a very well-rounded coach in your arena.
And what's really, to speak to a couple of things there really quick before we kind of go into the Q&A. And by the way, these calls are all recorded and hosted on our YouTube channel. So if you ever need to go back and listen to it, and you'll get an email with the recording link. To go back to a couple of things is, if you listen to what Matt was saying, it's not just about the kids there. It's also about improving these coaches' lives, because these coaches are now learning how to be a better coach, which they don't get that in the world of esports. There's so many careers available in the world of esports that we actually touch on throughout the journey that these kids have with us, our players have with us. We actually do blog posts. We have education that's built into our curriculum, so they understand that there's more here, and parents understand there's more here. But now these coaches are getting esports coaching experience. That doesn't just happen when they're out there playing esports. These kids, there's a lot of coaches out there that are begging for hours. Not too long ago, shoutcasters were rated, or basically out there and trying to get in as many free hours of shoutcasting as they possibly could to practice and hone their craft. Because it's always about the reps, right? When these kids are coming in for us, they're on a team. And being on a team is all about the reps. The more time they spend with their team, the more they practice good sportsmanship, the more they practice great communication, the more they practice their game, the better they get at everything. And their cognitive ability, which is basically their ability and bandwidth to learn, grows. These coaches are getting the same experience. I'm currently coaching my daughter's volleyball, and the head coach is a 19-year-old who's never coached before. And she's getting great experience in coaching and working with kids, and this is her first time. Imagine all these esports coaches that come in. This is their first time being a coach, but they know they want to work with within esports. They know they want to be a coach. They know they want to be involved, and we give them that opportunity. So, and obviously they grow. So we're not just focused on just the kids. We're also focused on these coaches as well. Another thing you heard Matt talk about is he said, going into his third year, his second year. Remember, what we did was stabilize our revenue to be sure that we were ready to launch to market as a franchise. This isn't something that was thought of in a basement, and then we thought, hey, let's launch it as a franchise. We didn't do that. We did what exactly a great franchise should do, which is prove the model works, show the revenue has stabilized, and then launch as a franchise, and that's what we did. And we launched just about, I'd say, July, August of last year, of 2022, and we have great numbers to show that we've done very well, and more numbers coming out that shows that the revenue is stabilized and that we as our financial performance is there. And we are the only esports franchise that actually can legally show you that. So that's fantastic as well. So as we kind of move through, Matt, before we go into Q&A, Matt, did you want to add anything else to what we were talking about in discussion, or should we go right into the Q&A?
Let's just go into the Q&A, and then some other things will probably come up from that.
So we had about 70 folks registered for today, which is a record. So we have a lot of people that have joined today's call. For the Q&A section, you'll be instructed on how to virtually raise your hand and ask any question. If you don't have any questions, and Matt and I did such a fantastic job throughout today, and there's no questions to be asked, Matt and I will kind of end the call. We'll end today's discussion with a few other items, and then we'll wrap it up pretty fast. But if you have questions, this is going to be your time to jump in and ask. Just remember, there's no dumb questions. You can't ask too many questions. And so please feel free to jump in with whatever questions you have. And if we can legally answer those questions, more than happy to do so. But how the Q&A works is basically you can virtually raise your hand. And when you do that, I can unmute you. So it looks like we have a couple of questions, I believe. So I will unmute you. And it looks like Angela, maybe is it what it is? Or do you have a question? No? Okay. If anybody has a question, just virtually raise your hand. It looks like Jeff, you may have a question. Jeff, can you hear me? Did you have a question? No? Okay. We'll keep moving through. If you can hear me, I unmute you. You might have yourself muted, but when I unmute you, feel free to ask a question. Kevin, looks like you have a question. I'll come right to you. Kevin, can you hear me? I unmuted you, Kevin, if you can unmute your phone. Try again, Kevin, see if you can. Let's see. All right, we'll just keep moving through. Try it one more time. All right, I think it's Matthew. Do you have a question? Mr. Duncan?
Yes, sir, I do have a question. How would you go about setting up a Discovery Day, or how often are Discovery Days set up?
Yeah, virtual Discovery Days, believe it or not, we do them weekly. And we do them weekly because we want to make sure that it stays pretty personal. So virtual Discovery Days, we do on a weekly basis. And to do that, just make sure you can, let's plan you and I to talk, and then I'll kind of walk you through the process so that you can attend a virtual Discovery Day. We do them on a weekly basis, and they last about 2.5 hours. And so I can do that, and I'll make sure I leave my information too, but I have your phone number here, and so I'll make sure that I reach out to you, and we'll chat about getting you to a virtual Discovery Day.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that, Matt. Let's see. It looks like Jeff will be next. Oh, there you go. All right, Jeff, did you have a question?
Yeah, quick question. So from start to finish, initial contact you guys with interest, how long does it take to get a franchise up and running?
It's actually pretty quick. The build-up process and that part of it's really, really simple. And we've done this so many times. Like I said, in our last child enrichment brand, we had 400 locations open. And so we've streamlined the process and made it very much easier and smoother. So I would say it always comes down to your real estate. So by the time you sign your franchise agreement, hopefully we have some real estate in view. If we don't have real estate in view, typically from the day you sign your lease to the day you open your doors for business is typically about 60 days. Maybe 90 would be if you have a really bad permitting process inside your community. It may take you a little longer, but it's pretty quick. It's pretty smooth.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful, no problem. Thanks, Jeff. Let's see. It looks like Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan, you have a question?
I've actually got a few.
Yeah, shoot. Let's do it. Let's go for it. Yeah, go for it.
All right. Can you see them? I've put them in the chat box as well.
Oh, you did? No, let me take a look. I had a couple quick questions. Was that you? No?
Yeah, I think they're all mine. It should be the last
No,
one.
that was David. I got David. Okay, hang on a sec. Oh, yeah, you put a lot of questions in here. Holy mackerel. Let's go through them. So let's go first. What is a list of issues you are currently facing from your current franchises? Concerns, complaints? Matt, can you hear me, Matt? Are you off mute still? I may have to unmute Matt because when I went to the Q&A. So hang on one second. I'm going to have to unmute Matt here real quick and then be able to answer that question. One thing that we do, if I'm not able to unmute Matt, Jonathan, one thing that we do is, hang on a second here. Let me find Matt, and I'm going to unmute him, and then he'll jump in here, hopefully answer some questions. But one thing that we do is we also make sure we're set up. Here we go. All right, Matt, I unmuted you. Sorry about that.
Yep, I'm here.
So Jonathan had a question regarding like any complaints or any kind of issues or what is there anything happening right now there that was with inside the system that you have, for example? What are the issues you are currently facing with current franchises, concerns or complaints?
Nothing blatant. It's mainly helping people through the build out process, helping them with building teams, helping them to acquire players, do parent presentations, typical questions that we get in a startup from new franchisees.
Yeah, and that's a really tough one to always answer, Jonathan, just because you get people from all different walks of life. So what you may need help with or have concerns on will be completely different than another. Based in the UK, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jonathan, go ahead.
No, I think the reason why I'm saying that is if you have a section which we can capture. I mean, obviously generic. We don't want to know exactly which franchise has brought it up. But why I'm asking the question is then we can keep an eye out for it instead of falling for that same issue or be aware of it before it comes to our plate. That's the reason.
Yeah, and one thing we do, Jonathan, part of the process is before you become a franchisee, we like to connect you with our current franchisees. So we do connect you with our current franchisees. You're not flying blind, that's for sure. Based in the UK, we manage all the data. We've been in the international data laws. We follow all international data laws, and it's all within inside of our system. And we've been following those for the last 5 years. So it's not new to us. We actually work with legal counsel out of the UK, and we use their referred or preferred data protection attorneys, so our system follows all of those laws. So we have all that under control.
Okay, so what you're saying is the data protection officer would be at the parent location, which would be you guys. So if
our system does all of it. When data protection, our system is built to handle anything what's inside the UK, and we actually follow the international data protection laws. So we can dive into that, and we can go through that so you know exactly how that works before you become a franchisee, for sure.
Yeah, the reason is I've seen issues, and it's a critical thing because these are children under the age of 18 who have a level of anonymity and also have various rights more than an adult does.
Yep,
So
and we actually. Yep.
Sorry, last question. But is the data locally housed here in the UK and EU, or is it still housed in the US? So if we're using, for example, servers which are...
Yeah, the servers have to be independent. So everything that we do, it's actually written inside of the franchise agreement for the UK, by the way. So those data protection and how we do it is actually it's on the last few pages of the franchise agreement for the UK. You'll be able to read through it and see it. And again, this isn't our first time working with children in the UK.
No.
So we know exactly what we need to do, and we actually have to have it in the franchise agreement. You'll be able to see it. And by the way, it changed recently, and they became much more strict over the last 8 months. So we worked through all of those bumps in the road and we have it all handled. And so you'll be able to dive into that, and I can even connect you with our tech team so you can even know what they do and dive into that. To me, it's not my area of expertise, but we have the team to educate you.
Because
yep, go ahead.
We'll have to register with the ICO locally the minute we do anything with children. That's the reason I'm asking. But I would like to reach out to the IT team.
Yep, and we also work with local UK for background checks. So we have all that done locally, by the way. What level of insurance is required? So everything we do is locally. It's actually the insurance requirements are laid out inside of our franchise agreement, so you'll know exactly what to take to your insurance provider, and we have referrals for you to work with. But we do have all that laid out in the franchise agreement, by the way.
Okay.
If there is a complaint, someone that has been hired has been caught out, a child issue, defiant, how is this dealt with? We have an entire when it comes to complaints, issues, we have an entire process manual. You work with our team on it. So we definitely, again, it goes with the background checks and the policies to go with that. So you have a team that works with you with all those procedures. Some of it we can legally provide. Some of it we cannot. We have to give you direction on what you have to do. So there's some things that as a franchise that we can provide, and there's some things we can't, and we make it very clear to you on what we do and don't provide, so you know exactly what the work that you have to have done.
Okay, so do we get access in that sense, at least to a certain level of your legal teams, or do we have to have a completely our own legal?
You have to use your own legal teams. You don't want to. We don't provide any legal help or legal assistance. That's a very slippery slope. So we give you the direction, and you would have to get your own legal counsel. What success stories do you currently have? Actually, the email that you received should have the multiple links to the success stories that we've actually already have and testimonials that we have. If that email that you received from us in the beginning does not have that, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to send it to you again. It's got about 6 different success stories that we have on there that we filmed.
Okay.
How do you deal with issues where parents complain about the game gambling? We don't. What do you mean by that? Because we don't do anything with gambling, obviously.
No. So actually, what's happened is Epic Games also has recently been sued, $500 million lawsuit. I'm sure you saw that, as well as people like Apex Legends and all for their what do they call, loot boxes? Because they've been filed on those. So in the UK, obviously, there is an issue around that as well, and I know they've currently taken a few of the gaming companies to task on that.
Yeah, what they were saying was that it was too easy for gamers under 13 years old to be able to be manipulated to buy in-game apps and in-game loot boxes and those kind of things, and they were spending, parents' credit cards on those. What Epic has done is they've opened up under 13-year-old accounts, which is great. And it's really helped us a lot because now we can have players that have under 13 accounts that are monitored by their parents. So it really hasn't become a problem for us. It's just more of the publisher that has been sued over these, and they're rectifying it.
All right, Jonathan, I appreciate all the questions. I'd love to be able to jump on the call with you. We're working with quite a few folks throughout the the UK. So if you want Matt and I to jump on a call and talk about other concerns or other questions you have, more than happy to do that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan.
There are a few more, Marty, in the chat stream.
Yeah, I'm trying to mute. Jonathan, I can't mute you for some strange reason, so just as a heads up, you might be on there unmuted for another minute or two. All right, this one's from Las Vegas, so I hear you. I mean, I have you off mute, so if you have any questions, this would be joining. It didn't have a name there, so I think you're unmuted.
Is it the 702 number that gave the Vegas thing away?
Yes, yeah, it just happened to be the 702, yeah.
I'm actually from Canada. My name's Steve. Thanks for all the information, guys. I wondered if it might be possible to put me on the virtual Discovery Day list so that someone can reach out to me and so we can deep dive into a bunch of the more complicated questions that I've got. Obviously, I'm not going to take everybody's time up now. Would it also be possible to get a copy of the franchise agreement so I can have my legal team take a look at it?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, my word. I love the direction you're going. When you start asking questions like this is beautiful, Steve. So for sure.
Okay.
I will, I have your number. I have your number. I'm not going to repeat it out loud so you get spammed like crazy, but I have your number that you called in today, and I have your information. I'll reach out to you, and then what we'll do is we'll set up a time for you and I to chat, and we'll get that virtual Discovery Day and information set up for sure.
Yeah, that's perfect. So I'm located in Alberta, just for reference, so not Vancouver and not Markham, which I saw is the only other advertised Canadian location you guys have got for the franchise. So I appreciate
Wonderful.
it. Thanks very much.
Awesome. All right, I'll talk to you soon. All right, let's keep rolling. Tori, I saw your question, Tori, in the chat, and so happy to go to there really quick and look at the chat and answer your question. I saw that in there. And it looks like your question was about, you have a question, how to keep a violent-free environment and a safe haven for some of the children. And that would be a Matt question on how we keep a safe environment. So, Matt, if you want to jump into that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our commitments to the parents is to make sure that we have a safe and a non-toxic environment. We have our own chat channel that all of our players participate in. That chat channel is monitored by our coaches and by we actually have bots that also monitor it, so it will throw out red flags to us on any kind of language or anything that's happening within that chat so that we can get on it very, very quickly. Fortunately, through our curriculum, we not only teach gaming, but we teach our players how to communicate and how to be better human beings. So we don't really deal with any violence. We may deal with a child that, let's say that it's a team of 4 and there's a substitute that week because one of their players is on vacation. We need to make sure that we really welcome that new player and that we are showing them respect. And so that gives us a really good coaching opportunity that we can have with our players to be able to mentor them and teach them those social skills.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And so we have another question here on the bottom. All right, you're unmuted. You have a question? I can hear you. I don't want to say your whole phone number, but is it Angel? Is that?
Yes.
Maybe?
Yes, I'm right here.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. You have a question?
You hear me? You guys hear me good? Yes, absolutely. Well, I have a few questions, but one of them is already answered. On how long does it take in order to build and get ready the franchise? That was one of them. The second one I would say is how could I put it? So you guys were mentioning that you guys are not only as a franchise are not only open to just do kind of like play systems, like you guys are focusing to gaming, like esports, but you guys are also trying to get programs like developing into the franchise or not?
Yeah, I'm just listening to this franchise stuff.
I'm sorry, I'm maybe not understanding the question. Could you ask it one more time? And and I'll do my best.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah. I was just like trying to say if you guys are open in order to have more programs besides the esports and gaming, like having
No, I can't hear them. I'm on
classes
mute.
or something.
No, it's okay. I'm on mute.
Well, when it comes to understanding that part of it, like right now we are focused on esports and gaming. We know that there's a lot of opportunities in VR. There's a lot of opportunities in e-motorsports. We're right now focusing on really the most underserved age ranges, community, and the most opportunity right now that we have. I mean, e-motorsports is coming along really fast, but really still those rigs are pretty expensive still. VR is great, but it does there's still some bugs that need to be worked out in that system to really make it an effective learning tool. We're not so focused and rigid on saying everything has to revolve around, the esports games that we use currently, but we're always looking for more opportunities because it's really about the vehicle. We want to be able to use any vehicle that we can that kids are that we can actually impact these kids' lives. But it has to go along with the fundamentals that we are trying. To be really individualized and really isolated events, that's not what we're looking to do. We've got to keep community. We need community. We were born to be in community. There's very, very few individuals in this world that were not designed to be in community. So when it comes to a team, when it comes to being on a team, being coached, and working together in community, that is our focus. And we just want the best vehicle. Whatever the best retention tool is, whatever the best teaching tool is. This is why franchising is such a powerful tool, because we have all of these franchisees who are constantly looking at the market, constantly looking at ideas, how to grow, how to build our business, how to be successful, how to impact our communities. We are not about being a nonprofit. This is not a nonprofit. We are a for-profit business. We are a franchise that does make money, and we can prove it. So we are here to support our franchisees and to grow our business, and we want our franchisees' feedback. We're very franchisee-centric. Everything that we do is about how we can lower your investment, lower your overhead costs, and increase your revenue. Because as a franchise, this is why we have lower royalties. This is why our royalties are some of the lowest in all of any type of child enrichment program. Why are our royalties so low? And when it comes to, there's a lot of reasons for that, which we can talk about one-on-one, but everything we do is to build our Valhallan to be bigger and better than anything we've done. And you have people on this team that have worked in a variety of different franchise roles for their entire career as executives with thousands of franchisees that we've worked with to build something, great for you. This is why we have a Jumpstart program. So you're very personalized support, working hand in hand with people that do this every day so that you can grow your business, and maybe multiple locations would be great. I hope that helps a little bit.
Thanks so much for that.
Yeah, so if you have any other questions, please jump in. If you don't have any other questions, we can wrap up today. But you can reach out to me at any time if you would like. People find it crazy that I give out my cell phone number, but I'm more than happy to. If you have any questions and you want to reach out to me, you can reach me at 763-516-3578. That is my cell phone number. If you'd like to email me, you can do that at Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at Franchisar, which is FRANCHIZAR.com. Or just feel free you can text me. If you call me, if I don't pick up, just leave me a message. I'm more than happy to call you back. But that would be probably the best. We have happy to set up calls with Matt and the team. We have virtual discovery days. We have a lot of learning channels for you to dive in and learn about Valhallan. We have nothing to hide. There's no secrets. More than happy to discuss, obviously, any aspect of our business that we can legally share with you. Happy to send you an FDD. Happy to send you a franchise agreement. Happy to be able to have you jump into our vetting process to make sure we're a good fit. You would learn a lot about us and through that process, and for you to be able to walk through that process with us and understand, are we a good match? That's what's more important than selling franchises, to be sure that we are a good match together, because we will be working together for the foreseeable future. We don't use brokers. We don't use consultants. So when you're talking to somebody up front, you're talking to a team member that is involved, obviously, in the day-to-day operations. So if there's no other questions, I'm going to check one more time in the queue. I don't see any other questions.
Hey, Marty, they were asking if you could repeat your phone number.
Yeah, for sure. It's 763-516-3578. That is my cell phone number. Feel free to shoot me a text message if you want to chat. Feel free to give me a call. If I miss you, I will obviously hear your message and I will call you right back. I'm happy to dive into any area. What we'd like to do is, before we, obviously, you can also reach out to Matt Phillips. Matt, do you want to give your email address as well?
Sure, it's matt.phillips, and that's 2 L's, Phillips, at valhallan.com.
Well, I want to thank everybody for taking your time today. I know it was 51 minutes, and I really appreciate you staying on. We've had, over 70 folks register for today. Had only lost 7 of you during the Q&A, so I really appreciate you guys hanging tight with us and having this discussion and hearing us out. Looking forward to working with you all in the future, and thanks for your time. And again, weekly virtual discovery days, very personalized process, very smooth, very simple, and non-invasive. We just really want to make sure we're a good fit for one another. So feel free to reach out anytime. Any last words, Matt?
No, just want to echo that and really appreciate you and your time. Look forward to working with you guys. We're really building something special here. We're on the forefront of something which you don't get a lot of opportunities to do. Not only can you make money in a business, but you can also impact a lot of kids' lives and your community, and that's pretty exciting too. Thanks again.
Take care, everybody. Thanks for your time.